It's that time again, folks! It's time to reinvent some forms for your beloved characters. If you don't know how this all works, we conceptualize some new characters or transformations, and then one of our amazing artists makes that a reality. You seen that sparking joy divine mind thing that's been floating around the internet the last few years? Yeah, that was having us. And of course our lovely artists. Seriously, those people are so talented. Thank you. Last time we did some more beastly types of transformation for a pretty weird set and cast of characters. The likes of Yamcha, Chaozu, and even Frieza, so go check that out when you can. It's not a very typical trio, we know, and today it's gonna be even weirder. Although it's not gonna have a proper theme per se, it's gonna be more unique to them. So, inspired by the ideas in GT's scrapbook, the first character we're going to be tackling will be Chi-Chi. What?
But wait, she had a transformation back in the day. Look, she knows Kaioken.
No, not that. That was a joke. I'm pretty sure that she could probably kick all our butts anyway for tackling her, but she is pretty strong by human standards, people. Don't forget that. It's not hard to imagine where we will take direct inspiration from. Her father, of course, the Ox King, or rather, his literary prototype, the Bull Demon King, or just the Ox King, so you could say Toriyama just lifted that character wholesale. He is a major antagonist in Journey to the West, and is also known as the Great Sage Who Pacifies Heaven, a title that he gave himself. He's obviously much less nice than the subverted Dragon Ball version, of course. He is a sworn brother of Sun Wukong and other demon kings. There are 6 of them, by the way, other than the Ox King himself, and is the most senior one of all. He has a wife, Princess Iron Fan, and a son, Red Boy. Okay, the Red Boy? Who gave him ideas for these names, Kratos? Boy! And he's a very different character from Chi-Chi. First of all, he wanted to eat Tang Sanzang, or Tripitaka, you might know, as he's known in many English versions of the story, in order to extend his lifespan. He was trying to lure the main heroes by transforming into an innocent child tied to a tree. He succeeds in kidnapping the monk by tricking Sun Wukong, even though the Monkey King is indeed aware that he is a disguised demon. And after much back and forth and of course a lot of fighting, Sun Wukong is able to subdue the Red Boy with the help of a bodhisattva by the name of Guan Yin, very roughly translated as Goddess of Mercy. But a title, bodhisattva, refers to a person who has promised to become a Buddha and has received a confirmation or precognition from a living Buddha that this will be their future, using the magical bands that immobilize his hands. I know, we've talked a lot about the Red Boy, but there might be something here that we can use. So, coming back to the likes of the Ox King, basically, Sun Wukong disguises himself as him to take the banana leaf fan from Princess Iron Fan. You know the whole thing with the Bancho fan from Dragon Ball? You're starting to recognize some patterns here. This enrages the real monarch and the two duke it out. His true form is that of a giant white bull. He then gets captured by a deity called Nezha and taken to heaven, where the Jade Emperor will decide his fate. Also, it's worth noting that Princess Iron Fan is a Rakshasa. This name may be familiar to you for those who play D&D, but the pop culture version is those beings kind of oversimplified. Basically, they are, usually, malevolent and destructive creatures that are immensely power hungry. They're more akin to the likes of Western vampires than to the likes of the weird tiger or monkey people, with reversed hands that we know from D&D. Obviously, they're also shapeshifters. So we have all of that behind us, plus the fine idea that Chi-Chi's genes might have something to do with Gohan Beast, which, you know, kinda makes sense. Demon Chi-Chi from the Blackwater Mist filler might be an indication of her original origins? Just saying, there are a few good things about that saga in the anime, but Evil Chi-Chi is one of them. So how do we do things here? First, skin tone. Gohan Beast is already kind of pale, but our Chi-Chi would be even paler, literally white in coloration, to give a nod to the original Ox King's OG form of the big white bull. And of course, obviously, horns. Not on some kind of novelty hat, proper ox-like ones, resembling the ones of Asia's endangered species Banteng. The eyes would have the same hue as Gohan Beast's, just as a nod to the familial connection. Then, we should use the Rakshasa elements and give her subtle fangs. All that was spiced up with a slight musculature increase, so she feels nimble and has some kind of red aura. When it comes to powers, obviously, being able to breathe fire, which cannot be extinguished by normal means, is a good one, but in general, elemental magic, as a reference from the 5 cards that Red Boy had sent against Son Wukong, them in turn being the reference to the 5 elements. And of course, it's a nice cheeky nod to our What If Chi-Chi Was a Sea Fighter series, where she basically became an apprentice of Fortune Teller Baba. So you actually say, yeah, that's actually a really good connection. And behold, here is Chi-Chi, the Ox Queen.
Yeah, slay it, queen!
Our next character is also a human, and one of the few that we haven't tackled yet. He is old, he is problematic by today's standards, and Toyotaro loves him. It's, of course, Master Roshi. Man, Roshi can be so cool when he's just doing martial arts instead of being a creepy old lech. So maybe can we lean towards that part of the character instead of the one that got him banned in Argentina? We prefer the old version much better. With, of course, Sagacious Krillin here, we already went around a turtle-based form category, so we need to think about it more to make the master stand apart from his student. To be something different and yet feel connected, you know? We gave Krillin some snapping turtle elements, as well as some cheeky Mario references here and there within his rotating Destructo disc. But this time, they're Destructo shell discs. Roshi was always about his max power or super serious form. Also, we have that principles of Ultra Instinct thing going along. And I know that this is a little bit of a hot button topic within the fandom, but you know what? We're gonna lean into it. How do I connect all of this, you ask? 2 words. Soft shell turtle. That is actually 2, it's not 3. Soft shell is 1. The fastest of all of the turtles, so not necessarily the most resilient one around, would do wonders to be the mascot for Roshi's new form. Okay, let's get this next bit out of the way. The old hermit would not get proper Ultra Instinct, because that doesn't make any sense, he's had no angelic training. But instead, something resembling it, something handcrafted, unique to him. This transformation would have been a little weird, as it would have involved the prolonging of his limbs, making Roshi feel weirdly tall with almost ape-like arms, and a weird posture to increase his reach. The musculature would still be visible, of course, but not as prominent as in his max power form. His movements would be akin to those of the Drunken Master, and something resembling some kind of dance. In this state, he would be very hard to hit, but his limbs allow him to tap his enemy with powerful slaps and hits. He can also suddenly charge upon them with surprising strength. You know, bum rush. Similarly to Krillin, he would manifest a shell, in his case a soft shell, but it wouldn't increase his overall defense, it would be merely there as a spiritual visualization of the form, so you know, aesthetics. We would give him a silvery aura to emphasize his cheeky nod to Ultra Instinct. The name? It would be Master Roshi, the Brilliant Soft Shell. A little cheeky nod to his name in Polish being Brilliant Turtle or Turtle Genius. That's a little nod from Have. Okay, so it's been a while since we did something for the Saiyans because, you know, they've had plenty. We've done something for Goku, we've done something for Vegeta, Superhero took care of Gohan for us, we've done Goten and Trunks, who will probably have their own videos again, so that leaves us with the big one. Oh yeah, Broly. So, right off of the bat, the easiest thing to do is to give Broly Super Saiyan 4, you know, for real instead of in Super Dragon Ball Heroes and call it a day and go down the pub. Good job, everyone, our work here is done. No, but really, we actually need to figure something out. First, let's go to the original Broly for inspiration, and I already know that many of you are going to be really, into that. He was seen in many different coloured versions, from yellow and green to purple and teal. Technically, that is actually meant to be teal, and the purple is here because of the coloration of the scene, so colour grading. But, you know, we'll use it to some degree. You see, purple also happens to be the colour of a certain cat god, and Broly is currently training there, being one of the likely candidates for a GOD to boot that Broly. And also, I actually like the colour purple, so maybe we can use it as some kind of basis. So yeah, let's take a leaf from his Wrathful Form book that might have a certain link to Super Saiyan 4, but let's not push it there entirely just yet. We want something kind of in between. Something that will both connect into the GOD route and at the same time have links to Dragon Ball GT's breakout form. So, fur. There has to be fur. Not as much as in Super Saiyan 4, mind you, and it would have that dull purple coloration, but it would be there. Obviously, no tail, and something else? Oh yeah, a thing that might be slightly controversial, but since this is some kind of midpoint between regular Super Saiyan and Super Saiyan 4, maybe let's give him some kind of Ozaru-like face. You know when like Goku and Gohan are transforming into the Ozaru? Something in between. Why? Well, it's because he still hasn't learnt to control the form. His ape and human natures aren't in balance yet. He can use it without going on a total rampage, of course, but still, his focus is still not quite there yet. Of course, the Ozaru has glowing eyes, so we'll give him those. Green ones this time, though, to contrast nicely with the purple. You know the purple-green coloration works really well if you see an Ava all the time. It really gives him some parallels to the Hulk as well, and many of the classic comic book villains that we know and love. And of course some anti-heroes, who were using that coloration scheme for decades, like the Green Goblin, and voila! Here is Broly in his destructive wrath form. We would describe more of what he was doing, but, it's Broly, you know what he's all about. Smash! If there'd be anything more specific, maybe more mouth beams? Because mouth beams are cool, okay? And we haven't seen them in a while. So there you go. We hope you guys like this batch of new transformations. We already slightly teased the next one, so expect that one in the future. But until then, leave your next suggestions in the comments. Catch you later!